if we want a healthy community within technology, within AI, whatever it is, can you create a environment where we will give to each other? Because then people will be like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Show me where that is in the bottom line. And I'm like, now we're on to something.
For the first time in history, really, you don't have to be a developer to build. And there are so many Christians who are passionate about addressing real needs. They could see technology to be able to do that, but they've never been able to build it. And I think right now is that moment where we're about to unleash this latent potential.
We talk so much in this space about what it means to be human. We're embodied, right? And that means we're embodied with each other. That means we love our neighbors. That means there's no separating of our work and our being.
Hi, welcome to the Global Missional AI podcast, where faith meets technology and where we explore how innovation can serve the kingdom of God. My name is Joshua Seal, and I serve as the Director of Global Missional AI. What if the secret to keeping pace with AI isn't working harder, but working together? As new models drop on Saturday afternoons and developers feel the pressure to stay current with every update, a performance culture threatens to burn out even the most passionate technologists. But there's another way. Today's Builder panel brings together 3 leaders pioneering open innovation in the faith tech space. James Kelly founded Faith Tech, a global movement now in 50 cities across 18 countries, mobilizing Jesus-following developers to build kingdom technology. Llewellyn and Nick Skytland lead Gloo Open, an initiative applying open source principles to shared infrastructure, data sets, models, and APIs that the entire faith community can build upon. What fascinates me about their approach is that they're rejecting the scarcity mindset that says we must compete and protect our innovations. Instead, they're practicing what they call irrational generosity, giving away what doesn't make bottom line sense because they believe the church's collective might far exceeds what any individual or organization can achieve alone. From hackathons where developers on 6 continents build around the clock, to shared standards that help local churches participate in shaping technology's future, they're demonstrating that open collaboration isn't just efficient, it's fundamentally Christian. Before we begin, a quick word from our partner, Gloo. Gloo is the technology platform for the faith ecosystem, providing values-aligned AI and comprehensive solution for ministry leaders. Visit gloo.com, gloo.com, to learn more. Also, mark your calendars for the Global Missional AI Summit 2026, which is happening April 7th through the 9th in Silicon Valley, California. This is the largest gathering of Christians working at the intersection of faith and artificial intelligence in the world. Registration is now open. You can go to missional.ai to learn more and to take advantage of exclusive discounts and hotel offers between now and the end of the year. Let's dive in with James Kelly, Llewellyn, and Nick Skytland.
We're here to have a conversation about how does AI and the open source community interact? What does it mean to build community in the age of AI, and particularly in the faith ecosystem? I'm joined by some fantastic guests. First of all, to my left, James.
Yeah, James Kelly with Faith Tech. That's it.
That's it.
Founder of Faith Tech.
Founder of Faith Tech.
Hi, I'm Llewellyn with Gloo Open.
And Nick.
Also, Nick Skytland with Gloo Open as well.
Gloo Open, yeah, absolutely. And maybe just before we kind of launch into all of this, Gloo Open is a relatively new thing. Nick, maybe you just want to give us a quick top level of what is Gloo Open?
Yeah, so Gloo Open is an initiative around open source, open community building together. So Gloo is a technology company that is doing a lot with AI. And so open is the way that we engage others, participate, collaborate together. Also, transparency, a big part of the open movement.
James, just for those that may not be so familiar with what Faith Tech does, because you've been in this space for a little bit longer in terms of building that community, although you guys have all been in that space for a long time. What's Faith Tech?
So Faith Tech is a tech community for Christ. So it's a city-based community of people that love Jesus, love building technology, thinking about technology. And then we gather in cities to eat meals together, to think deeply together. And then a portion of every city communities volunteer their time to build technology to advance the gospel. And so Faith Tech is in 50 cities around the world, 18 countries, and just a underground movement of Jesus builders and developers for just amazing.
Well,
community.
but increasingly less underground. I think increasingly more overground
Yeah, I
as
know,
well.
yeah.
I would say.
It's going against that cool phrase of an underground movement. Yeah, the more it gets known, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe coming from the underground out into the open. See what I
right.
did there.
Whoa.
Whoa,
you
that's
go.
good.
That's a good transition.
See that?
This is why he's a professional.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I know how to do, folks. Okay. So one of the things that I wanted to start this conversation around is, well, what does it actually mean to be in community? Because you could be arguing that many of the ministries that we've been here as we've been recording these episodes at Missional AI, they're all doing their own thing. They're building their own tech. Some of them are in the same space. Potentially, you might even think of them as being competitive, but we don't have competition in the kingdom, at least is the idea, but often can feel like, oh, I'm running at the same thing. So how do we think about community in a space where we're all trying to build sometimes things that do have an overlap?
I think the unique word when you think about community is actually commitment. And so if I go to an event once a year, I don't think that's a community for me. What it is I'm going to an event. However, when you're committed to people with consistency, then you actually become a part of something. And I think what's unique when we get into environments like this is it's not we're all coming in meeting each other for the first time. It's that there's so many connections that we've formed relationship over periods of time, built trust, and we want to give sacrificially to each other. So the best definition of community for me is always like, I will give of myself for someone else. Like Jesus says, the best thing you can possibly do, the best definition of love is that you lay down your life. It's a sacrificial posture. So I think when we think about like real community, what Jesus established as community was sacrificial. So the only way community works in this space of AI is when we all look at each other and go, I'm willing to give up something that it doesn't even make sense. Like for Faith Tech, one of our key statements is always like generosity. We will give when it doesn't make sense to the bottom line.
Right. Okay.
And so to me, if we want a healthy community within technology, within AI, whatever it is, can you create a environment where we will give to each other when it doesn't always make sense? And that doesn't make always sense, because then people will be like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Show me where that is in the bottom line. And I'm like, now we're on to something.
It just reminds me, we talk so much in this space about what it means to be human, and you're reminding everybody that we're incarnational beings. And I think that's part of what it is to be human. We're embodied, right? And that means we're embodied with each other. That means we love our neighbors. That means there's no separating of our work and our being, and why those things are intricately connected and supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, I would add, you talk about irrational generosity that looks crazy to the world, right? Which is really kind of the premise of open innovation, is that you're giving things away and it just may not make sense. But as Christians, we're called to be generous. We're called to love on a world that doesn't look like everybody else, right? And I love that part about Faith Tech.
I mean, this all sounds very nice. But like, let's be real. Like, we're building products, we're building technology. Some people are commercializing this stuff. It's not all necessarily in the non-for-profit space, but we have got a model in the open source community from the kind of wider world, outside of necessarily the faith ecosystem, that you can do things where you're both commercializing it. Sometimes you're giving it away. Sometimes you're using it for non-profit purposes. But we can do that in a way that collaboration can happen across organizations. I think this is what I'm interested about Gloo's open kind of initiative and what you guys are trying to do. Talk to us a little bit about what the open source aspect of this feels like as you're planning, the year ahead.
Yeah, I think, open source is interesting because I think what most people don't realize about the digital world is that so much of the foundation of what people build on is open source, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And is released under open licenses and is built by these communities of developers and technologists who share a common need and want to contribute to a common project around addressing that need that they can then all go build off of, which again is such a great example of a community of Christians and what we're trying to do. And so if everyone's trying to do their own little thing, you just don't have economies of scale, first of all, right? It doesn't make fiscal sense to do it that way. So the whole open initiative is all about that. It's like there's a common infrastructure. There's a lot of things that we all collectively need. We need data sets that we can trust. We need models built on those data sets that align with our values as Christians. We want to have APIs that give access to these data sets. We want to share those data sets. We want to share the things that we then build on top of it. And yes, of course, there are things that we need to protect from an IP standpoint, things that are like truly unique to our core company. But we want our teams, we want our community to give back so that everyone can benefit from all of it. I mean, it's just like any project. Like if you try to do it yourself, you can only do so much as an individual. But if you can gather a community and aggregate their contributions, no matter how seemingly small or inconsequential, you can move mountains. And that's open innovation.
So you mentioned data sets. You mentioned, we need access to these APIs. There's applications to it as well, and obviously the models themselves. Like, what are these projects going to look like? When put it into concrete terms for us. If I'm out there saying, "Yeah, that sounds nice. I'd like to be a part of the open source community, work with Gloo, work with Faith Tech to kind of perfect some of these things." What's the artifact look like?
So I think there's a bunch of different ones. We're going to have an event this fall called the Gloo Hackathon. It'll be in October in Boulder. And that will be just one of many. It's not the only one. It's one of many hackathons that will go on in this community, but where people can come and go, here's how I'm understanding the problem. Because, right, it's mission that aligns us. And as we start to talk about what problem do you have? What problem do I have? Oh, there's some things in common. We can build together. And so having those conversations, those community experiences allows us to build together. And so there will be a number of events, both in person and online, that give people that opportunity. Also, whether they're newer or more experienced, they can mentor each other, encourage each other to use those platforms and to draw people together accordingly.
And so for, the output of that is going to look like applications, new data sets, new APIs?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All of the above. I think every time we come together as a community, we're surprised by what we see. And that's the beauty of open innovation, right? Things that we couldn't imagine. Everything from websites to data sets to standalone projects, applications that continue to live, and then people apply them in different contexts. Okay. It's super compelling.
Yeah, and I think there's a unique opportunity right now within the faith and technology ecosystem where there's a lot of really respected organizations that have built great technology that people will reach out to them and say, I want to help you build your app. Now, I work at Google, I'm not coming over full time, but I want to help you build your app because it can get better. Now, where a lot of those organizations have struggled is you can't just say, okay, well, come volunteer. You have to steward the community. You have to give them clear pathways and give them things to work on. And now this, if we can open source a lot of that work, and you have people like Ali and Nick and others around community building that can now actually steward people coming in, I think we can accelerate significantly the work that we're doing in the kingdom around technology to tap into this like unearthed mineral of Jesus passion technologists that are all over the world and very hard to find.
Come on.
But we'll find them. And because they want to be connected with others, and then we point them to these really cool projects. And let me say one more thing.
Go.
The reason I'm fired up about open source is my cousin, a dear friend, lays brick, okay? He works all day laying brick. When he gets home, he doesn't want to lay brick anymore. He wants to relax and watch TV and go to sleep. I love him for that. My friends who are developers and builders, they work all day building, they go home, eat, and load up their computer to work on passion projects that are open source typically. And I'm like, well, you already love Jesus, okay? Can we now also have you start working on some
absolutely
world-changing projects? And I think that's what's really attractive right now.
So one thing I'm interested in, I'm not a developer. I've self-disclosed. Sorry, guys. Never written code.
I saw you vibe coding this morning.
Well, and so this is what I want.
Today.
So this is what I want.
Coding.
This is what I want to talk about. Is that
Where'd that word come from?
It was
Vibe
invented
coding.
like a month
Just-
ago.
Yeah, it's a new concept. If you're watching, some weeks down the line, don't worry, you'll have heard it by now. But the thing that I'm interested in is that I'm not a developer, but I've been to some of the hackathons you guys have run in the past and some of the events that James and team have run in London and other parts of the world. And the thing that I'm beginning to see is that it's not just the developers that come to these places and spaces. So when we're talking about kind of open, when we're talking about the development community, we're not necessarily just talking about developers anymore.
Absolutely.
So what does that look like for someone who maybe isn't technical, but they want to get involved in these types of projects?
Can I jump in here? Because I think there's two things in particular. There's content creators and then there's builders. And up to this point, there were a lot of people who could take technology and create content with it, put that out there in the world, broadcast with it, whatever it might be. And we've kind of said, hey, the developers, they're kind of like a special class. They're over here. There's like a couple of them in a dark room somewhere. We don't even know what they do. It seems like magic. You got to be really qualified to do that, right?
Yeah.
And for the first, to your point, I think for the first time in history, really, you don't have to be a developer to build. And there's a lot of people that have brilliant ideas, but they're willing, but they were not able.
Right.
And now technology allows them, AI in particular, to build and build an app, and they can and it's good enough. And then other people can be like, that's a really good idea. And you got a really good start to that.
Right.
They can tweak it.
Yeah, they can be part of that too. We talk a lot about the collective might, the latent potential in a crowd, for example. And there are so many Christians who are passionate about addressing real needs. They could see technology to be able to do that, but they've never been able to build it. And I think right now is that moment where we're about to unleash this latent potential. And it's perfect timing because we have to. We feel deeply responsible as Christians to shape technology right now. And that means not only using it, but building.
Yeah, we're building it as well. James, around the world, this is also a challenge, right? So you mentioned Faith Tech operating in how many cities now?
50.
50 cities around the world, loads of different countries.
That's awesome.
Which is really
praise
cool,
the Lord.
right?
Praise the
And
Lord.
we had the launch of the London chapter, kind of a few months ago, just before Christmas, as we were recording. There's been community in the UK, across Europe. You've got a hackathon, I think, happening in a few weeks' time in the Middle East and Africa, in Jordan. So, it's happening around the world. Just give us a sense of this open thing isn't just an American or a North American or even a British phenomena. Kind of, it doesn't matter where you're in the world, you may not be able to trade everything, but you can certainly trade in ideas. And people are doing that. What does that look like at the moment? And what's the global diversity that comes to these communities?
So, at a global level, what's really interesting is there's a ton of diversity and a ton of similarity, like shockingly. So, by God's grace, Faith Tech, at least this community of people passionate about Jesus and technology, we see across Asia, growing across Asia, Australia, Africa, Middle East. Like, pray for our brothers and sisters in the Middle East. There's so much happening in Europe. Brazil has a lot happening too, and then across North America. And where it's diverse is where you see cultural engagement come in. And so you have cities that have a unique, like, hey, okay, our city in New York's like finance, fintech. So you get a bunch of people trying to figure out how do we bring economics and kingdom stuff together. So based kind of on the city's passion area, we see kingdom projects tied to the unique area of giftedness in that city.
It's that alignment, right?
Yeah. So that's interesting. So that's seeing that happen all around the world. Where you didn't ask this question, but I wanted to talk about this. It's really interesting because
He's such a politician.
Yeah,
right.
he's done well there.
You never say yes or no. Yeah. Is that a software developer in India interacts very similarly to a software developer in Silicon Valley?
Right. Okay.
Which
They're following a
acts-
similar way of working. At least.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think that actually, and to similar person in Tokyo, Japan, and it's just enough that the way we can collaborate and work together within the diversity of the city and the culture actually is an opportunity because we can build and think together in enough similarity that I think you can now build teams from anywhere in the world. So yes, Faith Tech has a lot of city-based communities, but what we're starting to see emerge more than ever is a team can be formed from like 5 different countries.
Right.
And there's enough similarity and enough diversity that they can be super
It
effective.
reminds me, you should tell the story, Ali, the Pineapple Project.
Oh.
Okay.
No, you tell it.
This needs explaining.
We've done so many hackathons around the world, and one of the earliest ones we did, there's a project called the Pineapple Project, which perfectly demonstrates this.
Yeah, so they were selling fruit. You're going to have to help me fill in details. They were selling fruit all across Central America and Africa, and they were looking at kind of the diversity of seeds and prices.
Yeah, there was lack to market for these farmers that were growing these products. And so, a couple of technologists came together and said, I think we could solve this by creating a marketplace using technology. And so we were at a hackathon, right? But what's amazing about this story is the fact that the team was formed with, I think all continents, or at least 6 of the 7 were represented. And it was a 48-hour hackathon, which oftentimes these things are, and they would essentially develop, and they would go to sleep and kind of pass it on to the next. And by the end of this hackathon, they had developed this amazing prototype, but it was kind of far advanced of everybody else's because they just kept going, and they
didn't stop.
Yeah, and
because they had that real community, right?
Yeah.
They had a mission, they had a community, they had that cultural alignment that you all are talking about.
Yeah, and they can just hand off around the world.
Yeah.
And they just hand off around the world. And what draws us together as Christians is a common belief and worldview and faith, right? And so it's very easy to form teams quickly when people work with a common faith and a common methodology. And it's like, okay, well, here's the thing we're going to work on together as a community.
I think that's the piece that makes me the most excited at this moment, is that you were talking about the democratization of technology, that anybody could build what they dreamed about. But we also have the democratization in a lot of ways of missions, right? Nick and I and James, we all did a lot of work with Urbana about how they commission missionaries and raise people up to do that. And we're seeing in this season, with the help of technology, anybody can serve, anybody can go. It doesn't mean you have to move to Africa in that same way, right? It means from wherever you are, you can reach people and you have the tools to do so. So kind of that intersection of both of those, the accessibility goes up so much higher than it's ever been before.
So we've spoken about sharing, which is great, and there's more opportunity than ever for that. We've spoken about kind of the global versus the local piece, and there's more opportunity in that. But the thing I also think is interesting, I always love that phrase of, we can go kind of further together than we can do alone. We also go faster as well. And I think the moment that we're in is super interesting because of the challenge of speed and keeping up. As we're recording, we were joking over the weekend, they're releasing models now on Saturday afternoons because there's not enough media space during the week. Just talk to us a little bit about how you think that the pace of change is going to affect the need for this community, and how that's going to change the way we have to work as well.
Yeah, it was funny. We were talking about this earlier today, just in our own AI development team. There's the promise of technology all along has been like, hey, technology's going to come along, the 4-hour work week. We're all going to be able to sit back. Well, that didn't happen, right?
No.
He does that now. You can tell. Yeah.
This is all I do.
Yeah, he's
this is all I do. Yeah, sorry.
But this is the problem. Like in America, a little bit is you have this kind of performance culture, and so now what you're having is like who doesn't feel overwhelmed by the fact that, like, wait, did I miss a model update? Did they just release something? I got to now be an expert on this by tomorrow. Right. And how do you even keep up? And we're in this kind of situation where our development teams even are feeling this like constant pressure to work. And yes, they go home at night and they open up their computer. And before maybe they were doing some passion projects, but now they feel like they just need to keep up. Right. And it's interesting because, again, we are Christians. We know that it's not about works. We know that we're good enough because we have a God that loves us through Jesus, and we're made in his image. Yet we kind of so quickly buy into that performance culture. And I think truly this is a great example of when we as the church need to come together, and through the church collectively we have a collective might. And it's not anything, no matter how brilliant and gifted and how good you are at using AI, you could do alone. You just cannot do it. It will literally kill you. Yeah. You will die from exhaustion, right?
Okay, good. That's a good health warning, I think.
Yeah. Disclaimer on this podcast.
Right, exactly. It's just a reminder that we in the church can't be afraid of change, because change is continuing to accelerate and speed up. And we have to be thinking today about what's far off in the future, not going, hey, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Like,
that's an interesting point. Maybe we can kind of wrap in this thought. you guys have all been working in the tech space, for a while now in different places. You guys have run hackathons around the world, loads of different places and spaces. As the technology has been marching forward, just talk to us a little bit about the moment we're in, of how is the global open church responding to AI as a topic compared to the social media revolution or the web originally, or space travel. I don't know. That's these guys' ex-profession now. But just, is this different? To me, it feels different. But does it feel different to you guys?
My political answer is that it is both different and
So
not
Canadian
different.
of you.
Yes, I'm Canadian, so I have to both
Walk
sides.
the middle right.
So I think where it's not different is that we've always seen historically when new technology comes into the play, there is Christians that are very scared. And I think as innovators, we discredit that concern pretty quickly, and I don't think we should. So for example, one of the good things about the church is that we make decisions, or should, in community. So I'm going to bring us back to the community comment. So for example, where I am, there's a whole Mennonite community, and they're definitely behind in their technology, but they make decisions collectively, and that collective decision-making ends up, they don't always just go by the latest technology. Now, I think there's a benefit to that and a learning we can take for that. So what I would say is, how do you apply that to this age that we're in? And I would say right now, the reason we're scared and the reason we're fearful and the reason we're overwhelmed is we think we as an individual have to stay up to date with everything. But that's a fully misunderstanding of how God defines who we are, which is we're not as individual, and we're in a society that's hyper individualistic in our thinking. So we have to break out of that and think, how do we stay up to date with what we're doing, and then make decisions as teams, as groups of people. And then I think you get into the we can accelerate quickly.
Well, yeah, and let me just challenge you on this, because I think one of the challenges that we find is that the speed of change now is so fast that collective decision making, that collective consensus around what are we going to do about this change is becoming very, very difficult to orchestrate. So how can we as a community of people, and particularly through the initiative that you guys are bringing together, accelerate that change? What do we need? What infrastructure do we need to build to make sure that standards can be built, the models can be adapted, but also the politics and the ethics that go along with it don't fall behind what we as the church would like to see?
Man, I love the words you use there, orchestration and infrastructure. And I think those are exactly right. We need systems that allow us to respond quickly, be agile, be adaptive, but that allow people to participate. That is the core premise of open innovation and what we're building, right, collectively. And I think the other thing I would add is that there might be some leaders, maybe you're a ministry leader, maybe you're a local pastor at a church, and you're listening to this podcast, and you're like, okay, cool story, guys. I'm not even really a technologist myself. I'm not sure what to do here. I think there are people, to your point, there are people in your community that would love to speak into this and help address the challenges of the local church by participating in a larger community that also shares in those struggles. And part of our job as leaders sometimes is simply to give permission for our community to participate, right? And that might be simple enough. It's hey, there are good Christians, there are organizations out there like Faith Tech, there are people building like Gloo, maybe we should participate with them.
We have to shift those processes, right? The local church often is slow in this, right? Because they think that you participate by meetings and you participate by decision processes and elder boards and votes and all whatever their mechanisms are. But in an open community, right? Everybody has an equal vote. We have asynchronous tools. We're all collaboratively co-writing. There's a lot more mechanisms, I guess, right, that enable that kind of active participation.
Fantastic. Look, guys, if you are fascinated by this conversation, if you are motivated by it, then this is an opportunity to get involved. So, James, if people want to find their local Faith Tech team or chapter or get involved with the hackathons, where do they go to do that? faithtech.com. Keep it simple. You can just find all the cities on there. And I would say if you don't have to be just a developer to come back to that, to be involved in community. For us, even in Faith Tech, less than half are developers. People that are just passionate about the future.
which if you're passionate about the future and where we're going, you should dive into technology because that's shaping the future more
Absolutely.
than anything else, more than politics, in my opinion, anything else.
Well, and to your point, one of our favorite quotes is, any decision you make is a bet in a particular future.
Specific future.
And as Christians, what do we hope for, right? We are here because we hope for a better future. And redemptive technology is all about using technology to redeem the brokenness in the world, right? So like, by the way, a non-decision is a decision. Yeah. Like we as Christians have a decision right now of like, do we want to show up and participate? There's a lot of simple ways to do that. You don't have to be a developer to do that. Like join Faith Tech, get involved in the community. And you can shape the future right now. It's our responsibility.
That's good.
It's good.
And Ali, just to round us out, for people that want to get involved with the Gloo Open initiative and find out more, what do they do? What can they expect to see?
Yeah, go to ai.gloo.us and you can learn more about how to join our open distribution, information about the hackathon this fall, and other efforts like our work we're doing right now in benchmarks and standards.
Fantastic.
There are all kinds of ways that you can be a part and give input and collaborate with the community.
Fantastic. Nick, Ali, James, thanks so much for the conversation.
JP!
So
What a
great.
good
So
job,
good. Look at
man.
this guy.
What a good
Thanks,
job.
guys. Sorry, we'll see you next time.